Welcome everyone back. I hope you guys enjoy your cappuccino. On our next talk, join me in a fascinating journey on the cybercrime as an organization. Crime has evolved quite a lot in the last few years and is long gone. Cosa Nostra and the Chinese Triads to a cyber crime that it looks like now. Richard Hollis is going to talk to us and share with us his experience and all about it. Enjoy the talk.
Hi, my name is Richard Hollis. I'm a director with CRESTCrew. What I'd like to do today is present to you a short overview of organized cybercrime groups. Okay, let's call them cybercrime.com. I want to discuss the structure of the organizations and their products and the overall, with the overall objective of know your adversary, because I don't think we talk about this enough in our industry. Let me start with two obvious points. One, criminals have always organized. There's always strength and in numbers and versatility in numbers, but since crime first originated, criminals have organized. Second point is criminals have always adopted and in fact embraced technology. It makes committing crimes far more efficient. So you can always, in fact, you can always track any surge in crimes against some sort of adoption of a new form of technology. But since the dawn of criminality, we've never seen such a surge in crime as we have in the last 10 years. Cybercrime is the fastest growing crime on the planet. Three reasons. One, it's hard to detect. Two, it's hard to stop. And three, the risk-reward factor. And if you're in crime, risk-reward is what it says on the t-shirt. It's what it's all about. How much risk? Well, the FBI says that the organized crime, cybercrime last year reaped an estimated 3.1 trillion in revenue. 3.1 trillion. Think about that. That's a lot of money. That's actually 6 times the combined revenues of the 5 largest tech companies currently on the planet. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. 6 times that. Put it this way, if cybercrime were a country, it would have the 3rd largest GDP after China and the US. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of reward for very little risk. How much? Let's take a look at this risk-reward equation. The average cybercrime takes away about 1.3 million in a hit, and your chances of getting caught are 1/1000th of 1%. Now, if you are caught, your chances of being prosecuted and in fact going to jail are 1/10 of 1%. There's a great FBI stat that, you know, if you grab a gun in the United States and you go in and rob a bank just like the movies, you ran out, you got your bag full of cash, you jumped in your car and drove away. The average takeaway from a bank robbery with a gun in the U.S. as of last year is $1,800. Now you take a computer, you rob that same bank, and your average you'll get away with $1,800. And if you get caught, you'll do 20 years to life. Mandatory minimum for armed robbery. It's felony. All right. So then the next example is if you take a computer, rob that same bank, you're going to walk away with on average 1.3 million. If you get caught, you get prosecuted and go to jail, first offense, you'll do 6 to 9 months. Risk reward. There's nothing like it. Who would pick up a gun and rob a bank today? A computer is, in fact, the gun of choice for cyber criminals. Let's talk about organization. Cyber criminals organize on 2 basic models. One, there's a swarm model. A swarm model is technically when a large group of cyber criminals come together for a short duration, but for a specific purpose, a specific objective, to take advantage of an opportunity, a large-scale card fraud or identity theft. The other form is a hub. A hub is essentially a dedicated team, a staff of cyber criminals with a centralized, hierarchical, top-down management structure that dedicates itself to bringing cybercrime products and services to the market. Obviously, these hubs are going to locate in countries where there's little or no criminal cybercrime law or law enforcement, and that don't recognize international treaties. We all know that. But technically what we're looking at today is bodies like the FBI and Interpol are tracking about 70 top-down, formerly run hub cyber criminal organizations. Right, these are the top 5. Let's just take a quick look, and these are the top 5 that are largely getting a lot of the press today, and that's why they're acknowledged as the top 5. Cobalt, this is the group that hit over 100 banks in 40 countries with spear phishing attacks, with attacks through malware. Through malware attachments on emails. All right, it gave them command and control of their infected devices. It took an average of about 11 million per bank that it hit. The Lazarus Group, these are the guys that North Korea favors. They were behind the Sony Pictures hack back in 2014, but more importantly, they were also behind the NHS WannaCry attack. MatchCart, these guys specialize in card skimming. They're like the Argos of hacking. Massive, large-scale card skimming from transactional websites. They're behind the recent British Airways and Ticketmaster hacks. Evil Corp, great name by the way. Great, looks good on a T-shirt. These guys are based in Russia, and they manufacture and sell Trojans that specialize in harvesting logon data from financials. Flashy, they post recruitment videos with them in their in supercars and their bling lifestyle. And also Goznim. Goznim this hub is famous for creating and selling a Trojan that avoids malware and host level IDS detection. All right, so it allows them to sneak onto a system through an email attachment or a link and stay undetected until they can exfiltrate user account data. These are the top 5 that are understood in the press and the law enforcement as being the top 5 organized gang. But there's other very profitable gangs out there like Russian Business Network, ShadowCrew, Superzonda, and they're actually a lot better at staying off out of the press and keeping a low profile. Let's look at remuneration. This is interesting. Let's look at the remuneration of an employee. So typical cyber organized crime group. The first interesting fact is that now that 80% of hackers now work for an organized hub, where 10 years ago, it used to be just the opposite, that 80% of hackers were individual guns for hire. Suddenly everybody is starting to work for an organized crime group, meaning the bulk of independents are now going to work for our organized crime. Why are they looking for? Because of the money. It pays well. Second interesting thing is the average age of somebody in an organized crime group is now over 35 years old. So they're well on their professional track, fast approaching their midlife crisis. This is a great statistic. The average annual salary of a C-level executive of an organized hub is going to be about $15 million US. All right, if you C-level, they're going to take about $15 million. Line managers will make up about $5 million, and you can write code and be a developer for a gang and earn up to $1 million by churning out malware. And malware is the product. Malware is the service, okay? The bulk of the income generated by cybercrime businesses today are through the commoditization, the sale, the distribution of an illicit product or a service. Services like card or marketplaces absolutely are very profitable, but they have a shelf life. They have a shelf life because the more successful they are, the more attention that they garner from law enforcement who look to shut them down. So they're very profitable, always will be, but the trend these days is for organizations to sell a malware product or a service that results in a big takeaway, almost a licensed software as a service. Do they use it? Yep, absolutely, certainly, but almost in a proof of concept way. The real money's in generating the product that they sell as a service through distribution. Let me give you some examples of the more profitable or the more popular ones. You can buy botnets as a service. You can buy spyware as a service to work as competitive intelligence on your competitors or other companies. You can buy hacking as a service. You can buy malware as a service. We know all this. We can absolutely buy a denial of service as a service, and of course, the very profitable and very popular ransomware as a service. Each of these, though, what should be noted is each of these are commoditized products, all right, that are licensed and put up for sale, and each garner not only the licensing of the hacking as a service product like ransomware, but also for each ransomware that's infected, then the organized crime hub gets a percentage of that. So it's very profitable. But make no mistake, there's also a very strict structure along for any software as a service. For instance, this is DarkSide, the ransomware as a service. This is DarkSide's service level agreement. And if you took a look at this, and you know, this is service level agreement for ransomware as a service. It specifies how the ransomware can be used, who can use it, who you can use it against, who you shouldn't use it against. Notice that they prohibit the use against hospitals or education services. It's very nice of them. Also, but they also prohibit its use against systems that are located in Georgia or the Ukraine. Why? Because that's where they're located. This is the organization, by the way, that was responsible for the Colonial pipelines and the Toshiba attacks that got all the, and because of that attention that they received, literally last month in May, they closed down, they closed their doors, closed up shop, but it's estimated that their Bitcoin accounts were well over 100 million from those two attacks alone, from the Colonial pipeline and to Toshiba. So I would think they got a good pension plan going for them. So we're talking about an organization that provides things like ransomware as a service that has service level agreements, terms and contracts with codes of context and money back guarantees and customer starred reviews. They use customer CRM databases. They follow up and put things in escrow to make sure that payment services are felt comfortable by both parties. But also, you know, they also provide 24-hour, 7-day-a-week technical call center support for their product. Everything a high-tech Silicon Company Valley would roll out for a new product. It's important for us to understand that it's a business, and in any business, you know, customer service, customer satisfaction is going to be the rule. Just because it's cybercrime doesn't mean it's exempt from this rule of business. In fact, all the more so. These are the reasons that they embrace it. If their customers are happy, they make more money. They operate in an environment that's very well structured. It's self-policed, okay, where buyers and sellers are constantly reporting on and validating each other's reputations. Let's take a look at the roles and the structures then of a typical hub organization. It's going to look exactly like you'd picture a classic bricks and mortars high-tech business. Specific roles, specific activities, and that's the point. Okay, you've got a CEO, he's the big picture guy, all right? He's the creative guy with the idea. He comes together. He's the charismatic vision person who drives the idea, sees a need in the market, all right, and puts together the idea for the solution. And drives and puts together his senior management team. It's important to understand this is a non-technical but people person who understands what the market, where the market, he could generate a profit from the market. He'd go out and find himself a chief operations officer, and this is essentially the deep salesperson, right, who ensures the business objectives are met, puts together the senior management team, but you know, and sets up the command and control network necessary for executing the business. You've got a CFO, a chief financial officer. This is the metrics person, right? Puts together reports for the CEO. He's going to launder the money. He's going to establish the Bitcoin accounts, whatever it takes, all the way down through paying his employees. But the money person, singular, one set of responsibility that everything flows through. You've got a chief information officers. I think of this guy as the metrics man, all right? How much did we sell? How much crimeware was sold? How many accounts were hacked? He's also looking at payment structures, but at the end of the day, he's the one that keeps the business out of harm's way. All right, he's got his finger on the pulse of our law enforcement tracking, our activities being tracked by law enforcement. All right, he makes sure that both the information needed by the business is executed, but also how the business is perceived in the market. HR director does just what you would think, goes out and hires everybody from the coders to any kind of training, and hires people to work on in call centers, recruitment and selection. Marketing directors, that's it. You've got a great idea. You've got to now take it to market. You've got to understand that, you got to get it out on the dark web and make sure that criminals know it's available to them. So they design and implement a classic marketing strategy and implement it on the dark web. That has everything to do for strengths and weaknesses of their competitors. Who else has put out crimeware like this, malware like this? What have they gotten back? What are the strengths and the weaknesses of their competitors' products? You've got R&D who just does that, goes out and does the market research, for the market director, comes back, but they resolve product issues. All right, these are the guys that look at the malware and understand the malware design specs that are necessary to meet the coding specs that the coders and engineers and developers need to make it work. Right, they're actually these are the code writers from all the way up. To finally, and probably the most important, does it work? All right, does it work? He's going to look at the adequacy. This quality assurance person is going to look at the adequacy of the malware, make sure it works, and also allow sampling procedures and reporting of the data. And finally, and the most important, is somebody to take it to market. Somebody make sure that they've got stock and orders are processed, orders are delivered all the way through to manning a 24/7 technical support line that the malware supported. We didn't have a lot of time today. My point was to give you an overview of how organized cybercrime works. But I wanted to impress upon us that all cybercrime is a business. That's it. And any successful business requires keen entrepreneurs with a wide portfolio of professional and personal skills. Let me leave you with one last thought. I think our perceptions of criminals are just might be based on the more, let's call them, less intelligent criminals who were caught. My point today is don't make that same mistake with cybercriminal organizations today. These guys are professionals. They're very good at what they do. The question we should be asking ourselves is, are they better than us? Anyway, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Richard, for the talk. If anyone has any questions, please share them with us, and we can have a discussion with Richard. We have one around containment. Obviously, these are many times nation threat actors. So, Richard, question, what is your strategy for containment?
If I had a strategy how to contain organized crime, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a trick question. I was trying to make the point about how organized crime is a business, meaning organized cybercriminal is a business. And if we understand the motivation is financial, if we understood that the revenue objectives and how this is how hacking has become commoditized, that understanding of our threat actor would better put us in a better stead to prepare a defense. If we understood this was about money, by and large, and this is a big business. So how do we contain business? I don't know. It is. Look at ransomware. How we've talked all day about how ransomware is exploding. Why? Because that's where the money is, and as long as there's money there, but short of regulating the internet and short of all an international coalition of law enforcement that extradites criminals from other countries, I'm far from an answer about containment. I think at this point there's value in understanding the motivation of our threat actors and understanding that understanding the large amount of data, the large amount of cash involved.
In my opinion, this is like asking how would you contain normal traditional crime?
Yep.
We've been trying for many years. There's lots of resources on it, and it's simply one of the things that they seem unavoidable. However, if anyone has the answer, please share with us. Definitely, we would live in a much better world. Arguably, we wouldn't have a job, but definitely a much better place. Okay. We have a comment. It's not a question, but someone said that was fascinating. Thank you very much. So Richard, well done. I think your talk was very inspiring to some of the guys here. Let's wait for a second and see if there's any more questions. Very good. So Richard, I can only say thank you very, very much. That was an eye-opener. That was a really cool analysis on cybercrime. Thanks for your talk. Thank you for contributing to CRESTCon. The next talk is in around 15 minutes. So before we go, we have a question. Basically, someone asking, how about the state-sponsored threat actors? The structure and aim may be quite different to those who have financial return.
Yeah, for me, completely different. It is, and that was the point, and underlying, separating our threat actors, those who are financially motivated, those who are motivated by intellectual property, or like you said, state-sponsored, nation-state threat actors. Completely, in my mind, apples and oranges. Not even, apples and tomatoes. They're completely two different. There are two different objectives behind the hack, I just don't think. So different objectives is my answer to that. Clear, and also different resources. At the end of the day, cybercrime gangs, very efficient. They're using and they embrace technology. They're very good because there's money in it for them. But at the end of the day, I still compare them to a nation-state threat actor who can literally put their whole nation's resources behind that, from military to university, that we're seeing in China as much more powerful a threat actor. But there's not money at the other end of it. There could be intelligence or intellectual property as an outcome. So I think they both have different skill sets and different outcomes. So I don't consider them in the same range.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And I think if you think about it, I really can understand criminals having a financial motivation. And however, if you think about it, having nations, politicians, decision makers being criminals at the end of the day, exactly. That is even a harder pill to swallow, in my opinion. They are in the power and they choose to do this. And yeah, as we said, it's not a financial motivation, it's something else for power, etc., etc. So really, really interesting analysis. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so we have around just over 10 minutes, and we will be back with Melanie. So go and grab a refreshment, and we will see you later.